Good Wednesday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock in time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. We will have a men's Mid-American Conference basketball tournament preview, an in-depth one, a little bit later in the show. But we begin with some film breakdown, video analysis. Whenever we do that, we welcome in Lance Reisland from the Playing Dealer, cleveland.com. Lance, some local guys figure to go reasonably high in the draft. We're going to take a look at 4 of them. Let's start with a guy that could go, many people think, as high as number 2 overall. Arvell Reese, 6'4", 238 pounds, Ohio State, and before that, Glenville High School. What do you see when you look at Reese?
Well, you know, you got a kid from Glenville, so he's a guy who can do everything. There's a stand-up linebacker. Those off-the-ball linebackers have been very good. He can play down in the box. He can play the defensive end. You'll see him here. Does a really nice job on the guard in a bull rush, so he can beat the tackle. He can beat the guard. You're going to see him here next. He's going to kind of come from depth, so he's going to show a blitz. He's going to back out, and then he's going to come late. And his ability to play on the line of scrimmage, set the edge as the defensive end, play the outstanding linebacker inside. He can play outside linebacker. He can be your nickel guy. Talking about a guy who ran sub 4.5 at the combine. These are the kind of guys. I know the Browns need offense, and I've talked about this before, but there's guys like Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles and Ruben Bain. These are guys that I feel are game changers. And Arvell Reese, shocking that a really good football player plays at Glenville. They turn him out year after year. And Arvell Reese is just a guy, when you put him on film, he's freakishly gifted at everything he does. He can play all different types of linebacker, and he can play on the edge as a defensive end.
Is he a guy that you see translates pretty seamlessly to the NFL?
Yeah, especially now with all these hybrid guys. So he's a guy that, think about a bigger Kyle Hamilton's a guy I like to, kind of compare him to a guy with JOK type stop and start, the ability to play in the secondary on the line of scrimmage at linebacker. Yeah, that kind of chess piece that these NFL coordinators love. He fits that bill to a T. Really, really talented guy. He's a guy who will transition very, very quickly to the NFL.
All right, another guy, another Ohio State guy, Sonny Styles, 6'5", 244 pounds, Central Ohio, Pickerington Central. What do you see with Styles?
Probably, arguably, the best combine ever. So another guy, you'll see him coming off the edge here, making the sack. Like Arvell Reese, very, played in the secondary. Like Arvell Reese, athletically. Styles, the guy that played in the secondary. Now he's 6'5". He's going to be 250 pounds. And he's another guy who ran sub 4.5. And you're going to see him here as they show this blitz. His ability to see what he sees and then pull the trigger. Again, a guy who can play in the secondary. He's going to play on the edge. He could be a nickel guy. He could do so many things. He's another chess piece. Like I said, arguably one of the best combines ever. And he's a guy that does so many things well, both on the line of scrimmage, off ball. Super impressive athletically. What a bright future this guy. Another guy you just can't pass on if he's there, and your pick is up.
So the thing about him that's really interesting, he played safety in high school. When you play off the line of scrimmage, he got a lot bigger and a lot stronger as he grew up. Does that help him because he's used to kind of understanding where things are happening in front of him?
Yeah, that's spatial awareness for, talk trait-wise, so spatial awareness having to play. And then you just talk about play recognition. So now he's recognizing plays inside the box, but he also understands play recognition as a safety and what receiver concepts are they're running, and 2x1, 2x2, and 3x1. And the ability to play different positions allows you to do different things defensively without having to bring in new personnel groups. And, if you're, you don't have to change to nickel or goal line. He's a guy that can kind of do it all. And that ability to be a linebacker, his best football is in front of him because he just started playing linebacker, which is kind of scary because he's big now. He's bigger than all these linebackers and still runs like a DB. He's going to make an impact very quickly. You can see why that Ohio State defense was so good.
Here's the other thing. Matt Patricia, former head coach of the Lions, defensive coordinator for Bill Belichick, was the defensive coordinator. Does that help these guys that played for Ohio State's defense transition to the NFL?
Well, yeah, especially situational awareness. The NFL is so much about like first down, getting a stop, and then getting to third down and long. And once you get to third and long, giving you the exotic looks where Styles and Reese would play all over the place on line of scrimmage, off the ball, linebacker, in the secondary. They could do so many different things. because they're in third and long. So yeah, the terminology, the idea of where to line up, spatial alignment. But for me, I think the big thing is just that situational awareness. The NFL is all about situations and taking away best players, and it's just a kind of a different mentality. And obviously everybody loves Patricia, and he's an outstanding defensive coordinator. When you look at the skill on this Ohio State defense, they're as good as they should have been with or without the defensive coordinator. This is a super talented defensive front these guys had.
All right, another local guy that will be in this draft class, Drew Aller, Penn State, 6'5", 235-pound quarterback from Medina. What'd you see when you looked at his tape?
Well, I scouted this kid back when he was in high school. I saw him with my dad as a sophomore, beat Eds and Ignatius back-to-back weeks with not as many people around him. If you see right there when his feet are set, he's outstanding. He's got a good enough movement. He's 6'5", 235. He's got all the traits. This next throw is the one I really like, and this is what opens your eyes. Takes a good three-step drop here, puts his back foot in the ground, and just throws an absolute BB on a bang 8. Now, the thing that worries you, he's just not as consistent. And is that him? Is that the offensive coordinator? Is that the scheme? Whatever it may be, he just wasn't quite getting out of his skill set, because on paper, this guy is, first guy in the draft type of skill set. Now, for me, he's got to set his feet better. And he throws a lot of things off platform and from different angles. At 6'5", 235, I want him to set his feet better, and I want him to transfer his weight. And when he does that, you can see how talented he truly is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've seen a lot of guys that have gone on to play in the NFL at the high school level. Trubisky, Burrow, Troy Smith. This guy he was better at high school than all of them, and it was, the arm it jumps, and he didn't ever put it together at Penn State.
Yeah, and he was in an offense with Larry Laird, who does a great job out there at Medina. He was in an offense where it was 5 receivers. He was the run game as well, so he runs well enough, but it did not translate. And I don't know what it is. Maybe because he had to get under center. He never was under center in high school. But all those things said, it's just the idea for me when I watch him. He's got to set his feet and trust his eyes. And when he sets his feet and trusts his eyes, and he transfers that weight from the right side to the left side, he's dynamic. And there's a quarter. It doesn't take 32. It takes one guy. But there's a quarterback coach out there or a GM out there that says the traits are too good not to take. So for me, this is one of those guys that he could be a day 3 guy, but don't be shocked if he sneaks into day 2 just because the traits are so good.
All right, the fourth guy, local, that we're going to look at, fourth and final one, Blake Miller from Clemson. 6'6", 317-pound tackle from Strongsville, where he started as a freshman. What do you see when you look at his Clemson tape?
Well, a big 6'6" guy is a guy really good in pass set. He's got to really work on consistency and a lot of nastiness maybe in the run game. But his pass protection is very good. Very good athlete. He does a really nice job of strength, understanding, again, where people are going and where the ball carrier is going. And that's important as a tackle. That's important that you know where your quarterback is setting up. You understand where the ball is going to be run in the run game. This is a guy with a tremendous upside. Now, he's not a raw athlete like some of these guys in the draft, but this is a very physical kid. Just needs to work on that consistency in the run game. But his pass protection is very good. Consistently moves his feet. He's athletic enough. Again, comes out of that Clemson, kind of offense that kind of does a little bit of everything. So he'll be well versed for the NFL. There's some better tackles in this draft the more you watch, and Blake Miller's one of those guys. I think he's got a bright future, and he's a guy, again, really, really good in high school. Started early on, just kind of was really good, but not crazy good. And I think he has a chance to be crazy good if he can get in the right scheme.
What is it that is keeping him back? When you look at him, what does he need to do a little bit better that'll make him pop in NFL evaluators' eyes?
Well, I think he's not a raw, twitchy kid. So he's not a guy who's the ceiling is. You may never get to an A+, but you win a lot of football games with guys who play at a B minus and stay there. And being that he's not a raw athlete, that kind of hurts him when you think about going against Myles Garrett or these defensive ends who get around the edge with athleticism and power and strength. So I would say he's just got to continue to work on that short area quickness, that lateral movement, the bend, the ability to get out of his stance and kick step, moving his feet on contact, all those things that he can control. His raw athleticism he can't control, but all the things he can control, he might be a little bit of a project, but he's a guy that has a lot of good traits, and teams will like that as they get to day 2 and into day 3.
Lance Reisland and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll take a look at some of the top tackles in the upcoming draft. Film breakdown, video analysis. You're watching Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You got so much to do. It's got you feeling blue. Put a little play in your day. 'Cause it's fun all over the state. So come on. Great games wait for you and me. The Ohio Lottery. Put a little play in your day. Put a little play in your day.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Time for film breakdown, video analysis, and we're going to do so with draft prospects. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Lance, no secret, Browns need wide receivers, offensive linemen, a quarterback. Let's start on the offensive line with tackles. Those likely to be one, maybe two, first 2 days of this NFL draft coming up.
Yeah, focusing on the tackles inside for sure. Inside the first 2 rounds for sure. So the way I looked at this is that the tackles and the receivers are all guys days 1 and 2. As we get into other positions, we'll talk about days late into day 2 into day 3. But the Browns need impact players, guys who can play right away, just like they did last year's rookie class. Those guys, whoever's at tackle, maybe both, have to come in and be really productive. I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns took 3 to 4 linemen with their 10 picks.
Yeah, and they may take a swing and get an offensive lineman via free agency, maybe even a tackle, we'll see. But when you look at the top of the draft relative to the tackles, who jumps out at you?
Well, there's 2 guys. Fano, the kid from Utah, and Maui Goa, the kid from Miami. Both are really long, 6'6". Maui Noah is a little bit bigger. He's 315 pounds. Both have, when I look at linemen, everybody does a little bit differently. But for me, this is the one position that sometimes you don't understand. Like, there's a level of toughness, and when you watch the film, there's 2 things that have to stand out. One is obviously size at the NFL level, but what is their 1-2? And that's going to be sometimes more than the measurable. So all my guys, the first thing is they got to want to play. And secondly, are they light on their feet? Can they move their feet in a small area, especially as tackles? Can they kick out and get to these elite pass rushers in the NFL? And if you look at it, the measurements sometimes tell you. Jed Wills, who I thought did some really good things at times, I'm not sure Jed ever loved football. And when you watch his Alabama tape, he never loved football. And that's one of the things as an offensive lineman, it's a thankless job, and you got to love what you do.
All right, first one we're going to take a look at is Spencer Fano from Utah, 6'6", 302 pounds, and again from Utah. What do you see here?
Yeah, Fano and Maui Go are my guys. So a guy really light on his feet. You can see him block down at zone, moves his feet on contact very well, latches on very well, very good in space. Another guy, 300-plus pounder that could run, pin and pull. Utah does a lot of good things in the run game. Pretty good as a jump set, so it's not a kick set. Pretty good anchoring in against a heavy defensive end. You're going to see him here just kind of block down, get to the second level, and just run his feet. So what Spencer Fano does, like I said, I like Fano better than I like Maui Noah. Some people like Maui Noah better. I think you can win with both. And both guys do a great job in space, second level, moving their feet on contact, latching on, jump sets, kick sets. And there's a little bit of nastiness in these 2 guys, and I really like that. So just a really elite athlete. I think he could be a really good pro, can play all along the line of scrimmage, played right tackle, has played left tackle before, but he's a guy who can play, he can even move down to guard if you need him to.
When you look at him, does he fit with the running style that Todd Monken likes, or what we know of Todd Monken's style?
Well, the good thing about Todd Monken is being a veteran is that Todd Monken, very much like he does with his skill guys, he will do that with his offensive linemen too. So Todd Monken and his staff, they have a great knowledge of multiple gap schemes, multiple zone schemes. So they'll do what these guys do best. That's why I think it's important these offensive linemen, which all 4 of my guys here are really flexible. They can be in multiple schemes. The foundation is they can move their feet and they're nasty on contact.
All right, so you mentioned this guy as well. Second one is Francis Manoa, 6'6", 315 pounds from Miami.
Everybody loves this guy, and I understand why. So he's a guy who latches on. You can see here, he just moves people. He's very, very heavy in what he does all the time. You're going to see him here kind of waiting, and then watch his speed as he gets to the second level. That's hard for a 315-pounder to do. So, again, moves his feet very well, runs very well, pass blocks very well. Just so you can see the torque here, just torques that defensive end down to the ground. Great. His hands are very violent on contact, does a great job in both gap and, you're coming out of Mario Cristobal's schemes. You're able to do a lot of different things. You're able to block, you're able to reach, you're able to down block, double team, get to the second level, screens, pass protection, different pass sets. So just a very talented guy. A lot of people have him over Fano. Maui Noah is a great player, great feet, another guy that can play multiple positions, fun to watch on film.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned Mario Cristobal. That one of the things the Hurricanes did was they were physical, and that's why they ended up playing in the national championship game.
Oh, no doubt about it. They were very physical up front. They've gone away from the idea that they're soft. They get after it up front. They got multiple linemen that are pretty good. Multiple linemen that'll be probably day 2, day 3 picks, but they're really good up front, and that's the kind of their calling card, nasty up front. They tried to out physical, and if you're a Ohio State fan, they out physicaled the Buckeyes in that playoff game.
All right, third guy that you have is a guy that a lot of people feel is rising up the draft boards, Monroe Freeling, 6'7", 315 pounds from Georgia.
Athletic and mean, right? Same thing. Really, you'll see him here. Takes a good little drop step, moves his feet on contact, good in pass protection, different kind of sets. Does a really nice job of moving his feet with twists and stunts. And then again, you'll see him move his feet on contact. Really good base in the zone game. You'll see him here reach out, kind of take that defensive end and ride him out. Does a really nice job. Again, Georgia with Kirby Smart. It's not NFL talent. And I tell people it's not about NFL talent. It's NFL schemes. These Power 4 schools, they run a lot of different things. These kids come in well-versed in what they're doing, both with their fundamentals, mechanics, and how they control things. This is a really good player. One of his calling cards, besides being athletic, he's really nasty at the point of attack. He's the kind of guy guys love to run behind. Yeah,
the other thing that, a lot of people thought he might have been a second-round pick, and as we get closer and closer to the combine, you're hearing he's going to sneak into that first round. So this might be somebody that the Browns look at 24 if they go wide receiver at 6.
Yeah, and the thing that you like about him is that, when you come out of Georgia, when you're Callahan, and I put Warhop in the same category, even though I think Callahan is the best offensive line coach I've ever seen, is the idea of why. Why are we blocking these things against this front with this play? Very good teacher. Guys from Georgia love to be coached. I think he's a great player, and again, fits this role of he can move his feet in a small area, and he's real nasty when he gets his hands on you.
The other thing that we heard yesterday, his mom's a yoga instructor. So you get this big physical guy who has a yoga instructor, and offensive line coaches are going to eat that up.
Oh, yeah, his flexibility, ability to move. Here's the thing that happens, too, with all these guys. The NFL has become, the days of grinding out 2-a-days and acclimation, those days are done. And I've said this for a long number of years now, going down to practice every day. There's no acclimation. That's why I think there's so many injuries in the NFL. So his background allowed him to be flexible. A lot of those injuries come from not being flexible. And obviously with your mom as a yoga instructor, you understand the body and you understand the importance of range of motion, which I think will help him.
All right. The fourth one on our list is Max Ihanachor. And another guy, 6'6", 325. So big guys, 6'6", 6'7". What do you see from Ihanachor on tape?
Well, Max Ihanachor is a killer. He is a guy that had a great Senior Bowl, probably the outstanding lineman of the Senior Bowl. Comes from a junior college, didn't pick up football till late in his life. Tremendous feet, 6'7", he's 6'6", 6'7", 325 pounds. He goes into that freakish kind of category when in terms of athletic traits. And that's why this is another guy that I've talked to people that had him as right behind Fano and Maui Noah. This is a guy, the more you watch him on film, the more you see his elite footwork, You see his ability to kick. You see his ability to finish in the run game. Again, Arizona State did a nice job coaching him up. And you can see when he gets contact, he's not just trying to block you. He's trying to knock you down. He's one of these get-off-the-bus guys first, too. He is a physical specimen, a guy that could just blow up as, Combine gets close and the pro days and things like that. Outstanding at the Senior Bowl. I didn't see him lose a rep in the tape I watched. So really, really impressed. This is the guy that's shot up my charts and passed a lot of really good tackles just because of his flexibility. Again, I think he can play right and left. Just a really good football player.
When you look at these guys, who do you think it has the highest upside? You always talk ceiling and floor. Is there a guy that you think could develop and really just take off?
Well, I think the first two guys, Fano and Maui, are going to be the two guys that maybe they top out as a B. They can always be a B plus, but they'll be a B plus for 10 years as an anchor tackle. The guy who probably has the highest ceiling will be Ian Achor. This is the guy who might be a C or D and F, but he also might be an A plus with his physical tools. So he's a guy you roll the dice on because he hasn't played a lot of football, but man, is he talented. So the first two guys, even though they're super talented, don't get me wrong, and they're going to be anchor tackles. Ian Achor has a skill set that could really be dominated at the NFL level.
Is there one of those guys that's better necessarily a run blocker relative to pass blocking that you like? Somebody that just gets after it and you can run behind?
Well, yeah, so Freeling is a guy who's the nastiest guy. Blake Miller is a kid from Clemson who's also, I got him in my top 10 in terms of run blocking. He's a mauler. The best pass setter, I think, is Trey Zune from Texas A&M. He's another guy. But if you talked about in the top four of my guy, Freeling's the guy who has the nastiest edge to him. He's a guy who probably doesn't, he's not talking much on the field. He's a guy who's probably not real friendly, but a guy you like to run behind. But if you're talking about the best run blocker, that would probably be Freeling because of that nasty edge.
Time for us to step aside and take a quick timeout. We will stay on the offensive line. We'll move inside. A look at some interior offensive linemen that the Browns might be looking at in the draft. Sports4CLE continues talking draft. When we return, stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
Sports4CLE continues. We're going to move inside and take a look at some offensive linemen on the interior side. Film breakdown, video analysis. Let's welcome back in Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Lance, arguably the first guy you're going to talk about could be one of the best offensive linemen in this draft.
Yeah, Oliva Vega Owana. I've been working on that one. That was not an easy one. He is a mauler. This is a guy 6'4", 330, 340 pounds, can really move his feet. Once he gets his hands on you, you're in trouble. He does a nice job in pass protection. Does a nice job. You see him there attack with the right hand. So these guys who work on pass protecting with using one hand and kind of that one-handed punch. And you can see once he gets on you and latches on you, he will run you and he will run you into the ground. So those guys, the people that want the Browns to get a mauler inside, this would be the definition of a mauler. He's a guy that, inside, he lacks a little bit of burst and a little bit of twitchiness, but he can anchor in there and, he'll play at 340 pounds. He's a guy you cannot move. He's a guy that I don't expect to be around at pick 24, but if he was, I'd run up there and hand the card in, because this is the guy who will probably be an anchor for a long time. He can pull, he can get to the second level, pass protects well, and again is a mauler in the run game.
So it looks like he moves his feet pretty well for as big as he is as a guard. You saw him pulling, and again, he looks pretty quick for as big as he is too.
Yeah, and his hands are really violent, and you can see he's got where he's not straight in line fast. He's pretty good within that. That's why they judge that 10-yard split more than anything else. He's pretty good in there. Now, that would be the one thing that keeps him away from tackle, just that ability to get out of his stance. But you talk about a guard, and you talk about your run game with double teams and gap blocking and pulling and down blocking and double team. This is a guy that can do all those things, and he'll be a day one starter wherever he goes. He's a guy that's violent with his hands. You can see there, once he gets his hands on you, you're done. He's a guy of tremendous strength. They do a great job at Penn State. Every year, Penn State gets 3 or 4 guys that are just absolutely freakish, and Awana is one of these guys.
He certainly will be a first-round pick, likely in the middle of the first round. All right, a guy that we think will probably be a day 2 guy is the next guy, Jennings Dunker, Iowa, 6'5", 319 pounds. What do you see with Dunker?
Well, he's a guy who played tackle, but he's the guy that's going to move inside. Once again, there's something really to like technically from the Iowa guys. These are guys who are fundamentally sound, both in gap schemes, down blocking, anything you want offensive line-wise. You can see the fundamentals there, getting off a double team to the second level. He does a great job of base blocking. You'll see his feet moving on contact there. That's a base block, putting a guy in the ground. You'll see here the steps getting to the defensive end. Again, you see the feet on contact is what we like to say, and he's always looking to finish. You'll see there, that's an outside zone step. You see how great that step was. Again, constantly putting guys in the ground. You see him pull here, get to the edge as a tackle so he can pull at guard. You'll see him here get his hands on you, another guy that gets his hands on you. Now, the thing that you like, besides his toughness, besides everything he does really well, again, being from Iowa tells you how fundamentally sound. You talk about Ohio State being receiver U, and you talk about rarely do you get a bad offensive lineman from Iowa. They are well coached, they're nasty, they're physical, and they're guys that are there a while. These aren't one and done guys at Iowa. These are guys that are in Iowa for a long time. They get bigger, stronger, and better coached each year. So another day one guy, plug and play guy who plays with a nasty kind of temperament when he's playing.
When Kurt Ferentz, longtime head coach at Iowa, used to be the Browns' offensive line coach back in the day, so he knows a little bit about NFL offensive line play.
Well, yeah, you talk about zone steps and gap steps, and just once again the why. Why am I stepping this way? Why? What will happen if this guy's in front of me? Why do I still have to step to the right? Well, because that's where the linebacker will be. So not only are they just not kind of going through the motions where we're going to block the guy in front of you, but there's a reasoning at Iowa. When you watch the Iowa offensive line, they look like a pro line, not in skill set, but just in their thought process and their steps and how they play and attack each front they see each and every week.
Where do you expect him to go, Dunker, relative to the draft?
Well, I would think he'd be a late day 2 guy into day 3, just because he's an interior guy. He's not flashy on offensive line. He's not a guy who's super twitchy, sudden. He doesn't have the super raw traits. But what he is, he's a production guy. He's not a potential guy. So I probably late day 2 into day 3. Once again, one of those guys that's kind of all over the board with different people. For me, you can never go wrong drafting a guy who's produced in a system that's going to be very similar to that in the NFL. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he's around early day 3, but I don't expect him to last long if he'd last that long.
All right, so another guy you have in that day 2, day 3 range, Chase Besantis, Texas A&M, 6'5", 315 pounds. What do you see with him?
Well, this guy gets me excited. So this is another guy, once he gets his hands on you, he's a mean guy. He's an athletic guy, not super twitchy, but he's another road grader. He's really good on contact. He's physical on contact, comes out of a good program at Texas A&M. You can see here he pulls, gets to the second level, and there's always bad intentions with these guys. So they get there. These are the maulers that I really like. There's other guards that are good too, centers that are good, but I like guys who, when they get their hands on you, they're not trying to block you, they're trying to put you on the ground. And that's the difference between a guard and a tackle for me. So you can see he moves his feet well inside. He anchors very well. He runs his feet on contact. You can see him picking up a blitzer right there on the zone concept. Does a nice job of getting to the second level, turning his hips. Again, very knowledgeable of the run game, where things are going. Does a really good job there of anchoring, right? So he didn't get pushed back into the quarterback. This is a guy that is shooting up, again, day 2, day 3 guy. Really, really high on this guy. Once again, though, when you say this, that's why you have guys who are picked higher or lower, it only takes one. It takes one GM or one offensive line coach. This is a guy, when you watch on film, he gets you excited because he likes to play football. And people think that's, kind of over talked about, but you got to love to play offensive lineman. It's the most thankless yet important job in sports. And this guy is really nasty, athletic, and a guy that's going to be a good fit in a run-based offense.
When you look at Todd Monken, and we expect them to be physical in the run game, those are the type of guys that he's looking for, right? Really, all three of them that we've looked at.
Yeah, guys who are very multiple in what they do. So we always talk about Monken's offense being players over plays. That includes the offensive line. So he's going to draft these guys for what he wants to do. He does not draft guys or take guys or put guys in situations they're not comfortable in. So if a guy struggles with pass protection, then help him. If a guy's really good at run blocking, use him as a run blocker. Now, what I mean by that is obviously they have to do everything, but he's going to focus on what they do well. And Todd Monken is a guy who wants his guards and centers to be very, very physical. A guy like Jake Slaughter, a guy we didn't go over, is another guy out of Florida, a center who's really good. Connor Lew, a kid out of Auburn, another physical guy. But the idea of moving someone against their will is really what you want inside with the guards and center.
What are we going to see a little bit different from the line with Warhop and Monken than we did, say, before with Kevin Stefanski?
Well, once again, you're going to see a week-to-week. So, you saw when they played the Browns. The Browns are an attack front, so they let the Browns run upfield and then trapped them and countered and, did some different things playing off what the Browns do. So if you think about a scouting report, we're going to attack this corner. And most people think of scouting reports for the skill guys. This scouting report is the same for, the Browns offensive line now. So if they're facing the Browns, when he was with the Ravens, they're going to do this. If they face a team that likes to play on the line of scrimmage, there's going to be more double teams. If they face a front seven that doesn't cover the edge, you're going to see more pin and pull and counter. If you face a team that's not very good inside, you're going to see more inside zone and gap scheme. So they're going to base it on what they do well and what the defense does poorly. But you're going to see all different types of schemes. So these guys have to not only be, athletic and nasty, but they got to be smart. But the players like that because they're going to attack the weaknesses of the defense and not just say, hey, we're doing this is because what we do. Very, very personnel-based, working on what the Browns' strengths are first and then attacking the weaknesses of a defense.
What do you think his non-negotiables are for offensive linemen, being Monken and Warhop, based on what you've seen from the Ravens?
Absolute toughness and the ability to understand the why. So if we're going to run multiple schemes and we're going to run gap and zone and outside and inside zone and power, counter, pin and pull, crunch, all these different things that I've seen with Todd Monken as I've broken down the Ravens when they were playing the Browns over the last couple years, they have to be super, super intelligent at what they do. There's also got to be a level of nastiness. When they block you, they want you to knock you back. The tackles have to be really good in pass protection. But if I say there's an overlying kind of thing is you have to want to play linemen. It sounds kind of weird, but there's guys out there who don't love it. You got to love playing offensive linemen, and you got to know who you're in charge of. Who am I blocking first? And when I block that guy, I'm going to try to knock him down. Sounds simple, but in football, really, it starts with that. Who do I have? And then when I get there, can I knock him down? And that's offensive line play in a nutshell. Obviously, the fundamentals, all those things will be taken into account. But this is a guy they're gonna maximize what these guys do and kind of minimize their weaknesses.
Lance Reisland, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Lance.
As always, thanks for having me.
Lance Reisland, make sure you check him out, plain dealer, cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, it is the Mid-American Conference Men's Preview Special coming up. Men will get underway tomorrow with quarterfinal action. They have the lone unbeaten in the country, Miami, Ohio Redhawks. What does Joe Lunardi think of them? We'll find out on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Get ready for action like never before. The 2026 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament presented by Credit Union 1 returns to Rocket Arena March 11th through the 14th. Every shot, every steal, every buzzer beater, it all comes down to this. The best of the MAC men's and women's teams battle for glory, pride, and a ticket to the big dance. Feel the intensity, hear the roar. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there. Tickets on sale now at rocketarena.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our half-hour tournament preview show for Mid-American Conference men's basketball. And the talk of basketball, college basketball, has been the Miami Redhawks. Let's welcome in Joe Lunardi, ESPN bracketologist. Joe, appreciate the time very much. Redhawks 31-0. What do they need to do to get into the NCAA tournament?
If I were on the selection committee, they wouldn't have to do anything other than show up for the MAC tournament. I mean, look, 30-0, heading into this thing, 31-0, just an extraordinary season. And if we're truly a national championship and we truly represent all levels of Division I, and we don't include a team with 30-plus wins, I think we've totally lost the plot.
So if, say they run the table and they win the MAC tournament, how high of a seed can you see them getting as an undefeated Mid-American Conference tournament champion?
I think that, and I've been saying this for almost a month now, I think if they do run the table, I see them being in an 8-9 game. There's some precedent for that. Oftentimes over the years, not so much in recent years, but we've seen instances where there was a big disparity between, let's say, a team's computer rankings and maybe its rankings in the media polls. A lot of those teams over the years have ended up in an 8-9 game, and I could see that happening here to Miami.
So when you look at it, there's another team, Akron. Everybody's been talking about Miami and how well they're playing. Does Akron have a case to be made if they make the MAC finals that they could get in as an at-large?
I don't think so. And it's been 26 years since the MAC has gotten an at-large bid. If I'm not mistaken, we'd have to go back to the early 2000s. I don't happen to agree with that. I tend to stand up and shout from the rooftops more for mid-majors. But while Akron and Miami may be very close on the court, I'm not sure they're very close in the court of public opinion. And I think that court of public opinion includes the 12 members of the NCAA men's basketball committee. And again, we were in their space about 2.5, 3 weeks ago to do a mock selection exercise. And we were there, the committee members were there, members of the media, and I can tell you that Akron got very little support. Right or wrong, that was the deal. All the talk was about Miami. And it's a shame. The real shame is that they didn't play twice.
Yeah, and the flip side of it is no team has gone through Mid-American Conference tournament unbeaten since 1958. So it's something that it hadn't happened in 68 years. So that's how rare.
I don't think I was watching that year. I don't think I did a bracket that year.
No, you've been doing them for quite a while. Joe, thanks so much for taking some time. Appreciate it very much.
You bet.
Joe Lunardi, he is ESPN's bracketologist. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we'll take a look at the quarterfinal matchups in the Mid-American Conference men's basketball tournament. Stay with us. The half-hour MAC preview show continues.
Get ready for action like never before. The 2026 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament presented by Credit Union 1 returns to Rocket Arena March 11th through the 14th. Every shot, every steal, every buzzer beater, it all comes down to this. The best of the MAC men's and women's teams battle for glory, pride, and a ticket to the big dance. Feel the intensity, hear the roar. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there. Tickets on sale now at rocketarena.com.
You got so much to do, it's got you feeling blue. Put a little flag in your day, 'cause it's fun all over the state. So come on, great games wait for you and me, the Ohio lottery. Put a little flag in your day, put a little flag in your day.
Sports4CLE is an hour of news and discussion specifically for Northeast Ohioans. Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Buckeyes. Sports4CLE goes in-depth on them all Monday through Friday. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Bacon. Join me from 4 to 5 weekdays on cleveland.com and YouTube as we go in-depth on Sports4CLE. We'll have the players making the news and the analysts covering it throughout Northeast Ohio. Join me Monday through Friday at 4 on cleveland.com and YouTube for Sports4CLE. Welcome back to this special edition of Sports4CLE, where we are previewing the men's basketball tournament for the Mid-American Conference going on at Rocket Arena. We've heard from the expert. Now it's time to dive into the quarterfinal matchups. The first game of the day, the nation's only undefeated team, the Miami Redhawks, the top seed, take on the University of Massachusetts Minutemen. Travis Steele's Redhawks led the MAC, scoring an average of 90 points a game. However, they've been involved in some battles. They have won by 2 points in each of their last 3 games. Miami swept UMass in the regular season. The Minutemen were in striking distance within the final 5 minutes of both of those games. In game number 2 of the quarterfinals, it's the rubber match in the Battle of I-75 in January. The Rockets were victorious at home as Leroy Blyden Jr. hit the game winner. But on Valentine's Day, the Falcons got their revenge at home with Javonte Campbell leading the way with 19 points. The last time these two met in Cleveland was 2008. Toledo won that game by 4 points. Game 3 of the quarterfinals, the Akron Zips take on Buffalo. If not for Miami's perfect season, Zips could make a strong case to be a part of the big dance. In the past 2 seasons, John Gross's Zips are 34-2 in MAC play. That's the best 2-year stretch in MAC history, and they have almost identical points per game and winning margin to the Miami Redhawks. As for Buffalo, they punched their ticket to Cleveland on the final day of the regular season. Coach George Halkovich has done a great job turning around the program in his 3rd season with the Bulls. After winning only 13 games combined in his first 2 seasons, Buffalo ended with 17 wins overall this year. The final game of the quarterfinals, the 3 seed Kent State Golden Flashes take on the 6 seed Ohio Bobcats. Ohio lost 3 straight games to end the regular season, including a heartbreaker against Miami in overtime to finish off the regular season. However, Jeff Bowles' boys are always ready for the tournament. They won it all in 2021 as the 5 seed and even took down Virginia in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Kent State won the tournament 3 years ago and nearly won it in 2024. Rob Senderoff's squad will not be an easy out in this year's tournament either. Time for us to step aside, take a quick timeout. After we return, we'll examine the X factors for each team relative to winning the MAC tournament. You're watching a special edition of Sports4CLE, previewing the MAC men's basketball tournament. Stay with us.
Get ready for action like never before. The 2026 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament, presented by Credit Union 1, returns to Rocket Arena March 11th through the 14th. Every shot, every steal, every buzzer beater, it all comes down to this. The best of the MAC men's and women's teams battle for glory, pride, and a ticket to the big dance. Feel the intensity, hear the roar. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there. Tickets on sale now at rocketarena.com.
You got so much to do, it's got you feeling blue. Put a little play in your day, 'cause it's fun all over the state. So come on, great games wait for you and me, the Ohio Lottery. Put a little play in your day, put a little play in your day.
Sports4CLE is an hour of news and discussion specifically for Northeast Ohioans. Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Buckeyes. Sports4CLE goes in-depth on them all Monday through Friday. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Bacon. Join me from 4 to 5 weekdays on cleveland.com and YouTube as we go in-depth on Sports4CLE. We'll have the players making the news and the analysts covering it throughout Northeast Ohio. Join me Monday through Friday at 4 on cleveland.com and YouTube for Sports4CLE. Welcome back to this special edition of Sports4CLE, previewing the Mid-American Conference Men's Basketball Tournament. We just took a look at the quarterfinal matchups. Now let's break it down to X factors for each team heading into the tournament. We begin with the top seed, the Miami Redhawks.
Good! 105, 1.5.
Peter Suter has become one of the most versatile pieces in Miami's lineup. That's exactly why he's the X factor in this tournament. Suter can score, rebound, and facilitate, giving the Redhawks flexibility on both ends of the floor. When he's aggressive offensively and active on the glass, Miami becomes a much tougher matchup. If Suter is filling the stat sheet in Cleveland, Redhawks could be a team that nobody wants to see trying to advance through the bracket. For the 2-seed Akron Zips, keep an eye on Tavari Johnson. The Zips already know what they're going to get defensively. But if Johnson's offense can spark something, it could be the difference in tight tournament games. He's a guard who can create his own shot, attack the rim, and stretch the defense when he's hitting from outside. If Johnson provides consistent scoring, along with Akron's usual defensive intensity, the Zips could be very dangerous at Rocket Arena this week. Kent State gets the 3-seed, and their X factor without a doubt is Delrico Gillespie. Gillespie brings physicality in the paint, protects the rim, and controls the glass, all things that become even more important in tournament basketball. But when he's also finishing around the basket and giving the Golden Flashes second chance points, he adds another dimension to this offense. If Gillespie dominates inside, Kent State's path through Cleveland gets a whole lot clearer. Toledo draws the 4-seed. Their X factor is freshman Leroy Blyden Jr. Toledo's offense is always dangerous, but Blyden Jr. could be the player who takes it up to another level in this tournament. Blyden brings energy, athleticism, and the ability to score in bunches when he finds a rhythm. Whether he's attacking the rim, knocking down open shots, or creating extra possessions, his production can swing momentum in a hurry. If Blyden provides that spark, Toledo becomes even tougher to slow down. Another X factor is former Rocket Javon Simmons. He gives Ohio a versatile presence that can swing games quickly. Simmons has the size and skill to impact things on the inside, but is also capable of stepping out and stretching the floor on the outside. That combination makes him difficult to defend, especially in short turnaround tournament games. When Simmons is active offensively and protecting the paint on defense, the Bobcats become a much more complete team. For the Bowling Green Falcons, Javante Campbell has the ability to impact the game in multiple ways. Campbell's quickness and playmaking help push the tempo, and he can create scoring opportunities for both himself and his teammates. In a tournament setting where possessions become more valuable, having a guard who leads the nation in steals per game allows the Falcons to control the pace and make critical plays. If Campbell is playing with confidence, Falcons can be a dangerous team. As we focus on the Buffalo Bulls, Ryan Sable has quietly become an important piece for Buffalo, and that's why he's the X factor for the Bulls heading into the tournament. Sable's ability to score from the perimeter and provide energy off the ball gives the Bulls another offensive option. When he's knocking down shots and playing confidently, Buffalo's spacing and scoring balance improve dramatically. If Sable gets hot at the right time, the Bulls could surprise some teams in Cleveland. Finally, MAC newcomer UMass has Leonardo Bedial, who brings a unique element to Massachusetts' lineup. The forward combines size with perimeter shooting, which allows him to stretch defenses and create space for the Minutemen's offense. When Bedial is knocking down shots and contributing on the boards, he gives UMass a versatility that is incredibly valuable. In a tournament setting, that ability to impact the game in different ways makes him a key X factor. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. When we return, each of the teams will state their case for winning the MAC tournament at Rocket Arena this week. Sports4CLE special edition of the MAC Men's Basketball Tournament Show. We'll be right back.
Get ready for action like never before. The 2026 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament presented by Credit Union 1 returns to Rocket Arena March 11th through the 14th. Every shot, every steal, every buzzer beater, it all comes down to this. The best of the MAC men's and women's teams battle for glory, pride, and a ticket to the big dance. Feel the intensity, hear the roar. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there. Tickets on sale now at rocketarena.com.
You got so much to do, it's got you feeling blue. Put a little flag in your day, 'cause it's fun all over the state. So come on, great games wait for you and me. The Ohio lottery. Put a little flag in your day. Put a little flag in your day.
Sports4CLE is an hour of news and discussion specifically for Northeast Ohioans. Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Buckeyes. Sports4CLE goes in-depth on them all Monday through Friday. Hi everybody, I'm Dave Bacon. Join me from 4 to 5 weekdays on cleveland.com and YouTube as we go in-depth on Sports4CLE. We'll have the players making the news and the analysts covering it throughout Northeast Ohio. Join me Monday through Friday at 4 on cleveland.com and YouTube for Sports4CLE. When it comes to the Mid-American Conference Tournament, any team can get hot, go on a run, and win this tournament. With that said, here is each team's case for winning the MAC tournament and heading to the NCAAs.
Well, it was looking a little bit bleak down the stretch for UMass, but they're able to win their last game of the regular season, taking down Ohio and punching their ticket to Cleveland. So here's why they might be able to pull off an upset or two in the Mid-American Conference Championship. One, they've been in so many close games this season. They had a lead and had a chance to win on national TV at Miami earlier this season and had Miami on the ropes at home, couldn't get it done. They've been in so many close games, and they have some of the most prolific players in the conference. One of the leading scorers and rebounders, Leo Bettiol, along with some of the best three-point shooters, Marcus Banks Jr. and KJ Parker. So if those guys can get hot at the right time, who knows what will happen for Massachusetts. But they've been in so many of these close contests, 4 overtime games this season, some losses, some wins, but they know what it's going to be like when things get tight, and hopefully they're shooting the lights out.
I'm voice of the Buffalo Bulls, Paul Peck. The Bulls are back in the Mid-American Conference Tournament for the first time in 3 years. Here's the case for UB to win the Mid-American Conference Tournament. It starts with guard Ryan Sable. He was 3rd in the conference in scoring. He hit more three-pointers than any other player in the MAC. He's a big reason why the Bulls can advance in this tournament. So is his partner at guard, Angelo Brizzi, who scored 20 points in 6 of his last 9 games. If those two guards can dominate in Cleveland, the Bulls will have a chance to move on in the MAC tournament and maybe get another shot at the top-seeded and undefeated Miami Redhawks. Buffalo gave them 2 of their toughest games this season, and that's the case for the UB Bulls to win the Mid-American Conference Tournament.
Can Ohio win the Mid-American Conference Tournament? Absolutely. I'll give you 3 reasons why. Jackson Pavletsky, Aiden Hadaway, and Jamin Simmons. I think Ohio has as good a big 3 as anybody does in this league right now, which makes Ohio a very dangerous basketball team. You toss into the fact that A.J. Sheldon's been shooting the ball very well lately from the perimeter, and J.J. Kelly has rapidly improved as the season has gone along, the freshman wing, who gives Ohio great minutes on both sides of the court heading into the MAC tournament. Now, the other thing about Ohio is the Bobcats, if they shoot the ball well from behind the three-point arc, that makes them even more dangerous. The addition of Kier Kuwani has added minutes for Jeff Bowles' basketball team. Jalen Breath, Dior Connors also giving quality minutes as well, too. So this is a team that comes into this tournament, I think, in the mindset that this is a fresh start. Yes, they'll hit the tournament right around the 500 mark, and they have taken some difficult losses this season. But this is a team that I think, getting to Cleveland, is one that no one wants to see come up on their side of the bracket. Can Ohio win the MAC tournament? Absolutely.
Well, defense will be the name of the game if Bowling Green is going to win the Mid-American Conference Tournament. It has been a staple for the Falcons all season long. Bowling Green only allows just over 70 points a game, and it's the adjustments in the second half that I think is a big reason why Bowling Green can win in Cleveland. You start with individual efforts, and certainly a guy that should be the Mid-American Conference Defensive Player of the Year. You're talking Javonte Campbell. Broke Bowling Green's single-season record for steals, and time in and time out, he has led Bowling Green in scoring. 13 times he has scored 20 or more points, and it's that supporting cast as well. Bowling Green, you don't know who's going to step up time in and time out, but you have shooters like Josiah Shackelford, Justin Thomas showing what he can do from distance, Javon Ruffin also excellent from outside. He talks senior leadership, Sam Towns. He can get it done on the glass. He can really help Bowling Green push in transition. The Falcons, it may not have been easy down the stretch of the regular season, but Bowling Green, once they get to Cleveland, they know 3 games in 3 days. They can come out on top against anyone. It'll be Bowling Green's defense if the Falcons want to win it all.
For this University of Toledo men's basketball team playing some of their best basketball of the season. Let's start on the offensive end. They're averaging over 80 points per ball game. They have an excellent inside-outside attack, and it starts with the backcourt of Sonny Wilson and Leroy Blyden, the two averaging 33 points per ball game between them. And then on the inside, you got Sean Craig and Austin Parks, 2 guys averaging double figures, 22 points a game between those two. Sean Craig, a guy that can score inside, stretch the floor out of the 4 spot. Austin Parks, big physical presence on the inside. But where this team has made their biggest improvements has been on the defensive end of the floor. In the first 21 games, Toledo is giving up 79 points per ball game. In the last 9, they're giving up around 72. A lot of that has to do with the insertion of Minor Strong into the starting lineup, an excellent perimeter defender. But then the third phase, bench production. Toledo in the last 9 is averaging just under 17 points per ball game. A lot of that in the hands of Jalen Owinga, Will James, and Kyler Vanderjack. If Toledo continue to play well in all 3 phases, they're going to have a chance to win a Mid-American Conference championship.
Hey everyone, Dane Richardson here, voice of the Flashes, and I'm here to state my case on why Kent State men's basketball can win the MAC tournament. I'll give you 3 reasons. Number 1, Coach Senderoff teams have shown in the MAC tourney when they're not the number 1 seed that they can win it. They won 4 games in 5 days as the number 6 seed back in 2017. They won it all in 2023 as the 2 seed, but I want to point to 2024. They came up just short in the title game against Akron from going back-to-back, but they were the number 8 seed, knocked off number 1 seed Toledo in that game on Thursday afternoon in the 1A matchup. Reason number 2, Kent State's starting 5 is pretty darn old. 2 juniors in the backcourt with Sion Medley and Jahari Williamson, then Morgan Safford, Rob Whaley Jr., and Rico Gillespie, all seniors in the front court. Reason number 3, the reason why I feel is the most important, Kent State in games decided by 5 or less points is 7-2. They know what it takes to win those close contests. It's going to be tough, but that's my case for why Kent State men's basketball can win this year's MAC tournament.
There are 2 major reasons for me why the Akron Zips are going to win the Mid-American Conference Tournament once again in this 25-26 season. First, John Gross, the head coach. John Gross has been phenomenal in not only continuing to build his Akron program, but build it to the way that every year it's about winning. The names and faces change on the playing roster, but nothing changes for John Gross. He's got a winning culture. He's got an attitude that if you're not about that, then quite frankly, this probably isn't the place for you. Gross has been sensational as he looks for, with his basketball team, their 3rd straight Mid-American Conference Tourney championship. Tavari Johnson also, you got to have the point guard, and Gross has got the point guard. 20 points, 5+ assists this season. He's been phenomenal. John Gross, Tavari Johnson, 2 major reasons why the Zips will win the 25-26 MAC championship.
What's up, everybody? It's Chet Mason, Miami alum, Hall of Famer, 2018 inducted, and I'm here to talk about why my beloved Redhawks will win the MAC tournament this year. First reason is we shoot the ball. We have to be the best three-point shoot team in NCAA, and that gives you a chance to be in every game. 3s for 2s, we take that any day. Our beloved Redhawks, man, they're playing defense. They're playing together. They're on one accord. And you can tell that group right there, they love playing with each other. Like, it's just something special. And it's the brotherhood. They playing like they brothers. They got each other back. And also the coaches are amazing. 31-0. I mean, you can't duplicate. 31-0 is 31-0 in Division I athletics. The MAC tournament, our Redhawks is going, you know what I'm saying? They're going to shoot the ball. They're going to play defense. The coaches are going to be on point on their thing. And we're going to host up another trophy. Man, love and honor, Miami University, the greatest university in the world. I'll be front row. And, you know, We're about to do some more big things. And it's not going to stop. And after we win the MAC tournament, it's going to go all the way through the NCAA tournament too.
That's going to do it for this special edition of Sports4CLE, previewing the Mid-American Conference Men's Basketball Tournament at Rocket Arena. You can watch all the games starting tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m. on ESPN+. Good luck to all 8 teams as they battle for that NCAA tournament bid. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports4CLE.